Well, hey y'all, how's it going? So, I'm not gonna do a bunch of apologies and a bunch of sorries because I'm not sorry because you know what? I have been a busy bee both in life and in the garden, and I'm so excited for you to see it. So, um, back on April 17th, I took I made a video for you that I never loaded, and it was a tour of my garden. And it's June 14th today, I believe. And so I've got another tour of my garden to show you. That's really approximately 2 months from the video that I prepared for you back in April. So it's really cool to see what a big difference there is, and I'm really excited. My garden, I'm pumped about it again. I'm motivated. I'm way into it. I've been real good about making plans and executing those plans, and so it's looking really cool. So I want you to come check that out with me, and I hope that your gardens are going good too. Well, I wanted to bring you out for a little tour of all the good that's going on and what's not. And just to catch you up on where I'm at right now before we head into the crazy temperatures. So these are all artichokes that I planted in the fall. They're really the only thing that I cared for besides my broccoli plants. I've come to learn that the more I water them, the more they grow. So I really could have done a better job on that. So of the 6 that I've got going, the most prolific right now and on the road to making an artichoke is this one right here. When we got our chip drop, the first place that we came over and did work was in this area. There's still a couple of weeds around the plants. I need to pull a little bit more mulch over and pull the weeds, but otherwise this is going to help keep more water. It's going to conserve the water that's there when we get the floods, and when I supplement water, it's also going to help improve the soil and keep down the weeds and the grass that are going to be competing with the artichoke. Sorry if I keep saying that. That's going to compete with the artichoke for nutrients and such. So I am in a super success mode with my lavender. I need to come out here and do some trimmings because obviously I still got babies coming in, and I know from the past that if I don't get these flowers off, the hotter it gets, it's just going to put more pressure on the plant to do life. This Nasturtia all came back from just reseeding in the container, and that's my new hopeful life going forward, is just really working stuff coming up on its own from seed. These two, I've been doing a bad job of watering them, but these two calendula are also just reseeded in the bag. This lavender is so, and I can tell you why, and it's because this is just planted in the same soil that I use for everything, and that lavender is planted in a cacti mix with a little bit of compost blended into it. My thyme looks great, but I keep doing a bad job of watering my mint, and I need to come in and mulch these bags with some straw. Now, my pride and joy for reseeding life is this bed. Nothing in this bed. I didn't plant anything in this bed this year. So I had one plant last year that I got from Summer Winds. It was a calendula, and it never did anything. It never really grew. It just died. But unbeknownst to me, it did enough that it dropped tons of flowers or tons of seeds. So now I have all these volunteer chamomile plants, and I, like everything else, I should do a better job of picking it. But also, all of this, this is, what do you call it, romaine, that is all self-seeded. And down here we've got where some Mizuna went to seed. Previously, this was the home of my straw bale garden, and I think I've said before that that's a whole other video about where I'm at the straw bale situation. So what we did here is, if you remember, I used to have a raised bed over there where my new garden is. So we took all the soil out of that, deconstructed it. We're going to use it in some different projects. And we brought all that soil, and we used a couple of bags of soil from grow bags to fill this in. Then we topped it off with the straw to give it a living mulch. And like I said, over here I've got that's like a little banana pepper, that's a cherry, and this is another poblano. And then this is something new to me. It's called like an Arkansas Traveler. And so everything is looking happy. I'm going to put some carrots over here, a bunch more melons, still kind of focused on what you can grow. Last fall, I also picked up a Concord grape, and it wasn't very fun because obviously not long after I planted it, it went dormant. So my other grape is wild and alive and going crazy, but this one is finally getting some green leaves on it, and if it's anything like my other one, it's gonna do a lot of growing in the summer, and it's gonna be exciting to see. I don't know if I really ever shared, but I got a Meyer lemon for Christmas, and I really I don't know, I don't feel like I'm experienced enough to have gotten this expensive of a tree. And I was a little naive about it because I thought, since the size it was in its pot, that it was pretty established, and so it could kind of roll with, less of a watering schedule. And now I've gotten on track with it. Obviously, we've got a good mulch ring going. Hopefully, I probably need to still pull a little mulch back from the root flare. So I don't know if I'm going to get very many lemons this year, but my number one goal is to just keep it alive. So pray for my lemon. My fig tree is all bloomed out, or re-leafed out, I guess I should say. I haven't really been over there scoping out for figs yet. My happy thing over here is this fig that I got from someone kind of at the first of the summer last year, and it was kind of a little bit smaller than this, and I kept it alive. It went dormant, and now it's really coming back. And I was trying to kind of keep it even with the other fig, but it maybe should have been a little bit more down in my flood area. But I think that the roots will be established enough that they'll start really benefiting from the flood. I love redoing stuff in bags, and I love when stuff comes back up, but this one I don't love. So this is a mortgage lifter that I got last fall. It got a lot of frost damage. I moved it up here to the front yard. I need to move it to the back now. So it made it through the frost damage, but then all of a sudden, what I think is a pepper grew up in the bag, and it's killing me right now because I want both of them, and I don't know what to do. So that's bad on me. I am thrilled to the gills to show you my mulberry tree, which I probably should have done some pruning, and I probably will get some advice on how to prune it. But this was like a stick, no longer than this, that was like in a cup with a grow medium that I got from Michael, that he got on like one of his plant stands. And this thing is it grew probably to 5 feet last year. Now it's tall. It's probably 8, 9, 10 feet tall. And I hadn't really been paying attention to it, but it's doing pretty well in terms of getting some berries. And yesterday we were really out here studying it, and we found that, the berries aren't all ripe yet, which I've heard that it's really kind of a June thing, but there were some that were, like, we found one specifically that was like totally black, and that one was the sweetest one by far. So this is going to be super fun, and I'm really excited to see that from a cutting I've got this giant, well, what's going to be a giant tree, especially when I get some separation going on down here, because there's too much going on down there. And I want it to be healthy and happy. So I want to get some good advice on that. And I certainly am going to be on the hunt for some more rooted cuttings because it's a free tree. 2 months later. So basketball is life right now. And this is this crazy bed. You saw in the video what it looked like a month or so ago in April when I planted it, and this is the monstrosity now. So this is what an indeterminate tomato can do if it's not contained. Well, I mean, I don't know how I could have contained this, but this is what it'll do if it's really happy. Because this, from here all the way over into where you can still see tomato blooms, that's all tomato. Now, if the tomato's not the only thing going crazy in here, this is all cantaloupe that was in the middle of the bed. And mind you, there's another tomato somewhere in here, and this is all watermelon, and we're just letting it go crazy. So this may be one of the last times we mow over here. There's a watermelon right there, and this is like a black bean. It's got a different name. I think it's like a Trail of Tears bean. And I'm trying to slide over this way without stepping on anything. And this is a Arkansas Traveler tomato. It's new to me. I picked it up at Summer Winds. It took longer for it to start making flowers or to even start setting fruits, but it's now, and this is probably the last decent day. But there is, if I look around, I got to get out here and bag these. Hopefully my grapes are done soon because they're taking up most of my bags. And then this is some more of that cantaloupe, but it's just, I mean, look, there's females all over it. There's another female down there. So I think what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to trim up some of the back so that I can walk through here, because it is definitely going to get unmanageable from the front. So, and there's still other things in there. Just came to know that there's another watermelon vine coming out the back of the bed here. Now, right here is a pepper, if you can see right here. It's got some peppers down here. So it's crazy, but I'm really into this concept of, overplanting like this. And because all of these things are going to work together to keep everything cooler in this bed. So it looks crazy, and it might be a little hectic trying to harvest from it, but obviously this bed is insanely happy. And I don't know if you remember, a long time ago when my friend Christy from Miracle Haven Garden on Instagram came by, she picked this spot on the east side of my house as a happy spot that gets good sun. Like right now it's not sunny because it's not even barely 6 o'clock. We're about to go to early a.m. basketball practice. So it gets good morning sun and good sun in the day, but then by about 3 o'clock, it's like by 2 o'clock this is shaded, by 3 o'clock this is shaded, and by 4 o'clock the whole bed is shaded. So it gets a really nice break in the afternoon. Here's another pepper. It was more covered in the tomato, but I've kind of backed it off. This is like a banana pepper. And I love that Well, even though I love big tomatoes, I will take continuous tomatoes. Right now they're chili and they taste lovely. So every day I get to come out here and get cherry tomatoes. And with the looks of the blooms and the fruit set, this could go on for some time. So this is definitely my pride and joy right now. And obviously you can see why. So I can't wait to see how many melons, how many watermelons, how many cantaloupes, and how many peppers I get out of this bed. So this area has kind of become my herb area. My artichokes kind of dying back. Also maybe kind of done a little bit better, obviously with watering. But look at those insanely beautiful flowers. This one's kind of new. This one's kind of finished. So I'm just going to let them finish. And then wait till all the leaves are yellow. And then cut them back and mulch over them so that they'll come back in the fall. I've got oregano here. I've got lemongrass coming up here. This nasturtium still looks good because it's over here in the shade. This is calendula that's finishing. Lavender spearmint. A lavender that I replanted from up front. This is rosemary that needs to go over into the sun more. Some more pretty artichokes and just a little bit of the sun coming there. And mint and thyme. This is a work in progress, and this is kind of my neglected bed right now. It got these squashes put in here a little bit late, so I really don't know that they're gonna be able to do much. This is one thing that I don't have shaded. Over here, my spaghetti squash, this is like by far the biggest one I've had so far, and it's still growing really good. So I had another one that I got pollinated, but birds started pecking in it. So I've got lots of little drinking spots for them. But this one's really gone wild. But again, I don't know how much more it's going to be able to make before the super heat sets in. My Concord's doing okay. I thought that it would jump off more than it did. I tried to do some training and I don't know if it liked that. Please excuse all the grass, because you know what? I'm just not letting stuff bother me right now. I got it done and I'm rolling with it. So I'm all about letting tomatoes be crazy right now. Oh look, there is a tomato down there on that. I didn't seem like this Genovese had done very much. Now, I talked in this other bed about, the mistakes I made in planting this bed. So there's some wins over here, and there's some, okay things. This is a eggplant that's come along, a pepper that finally got happy. This is a champion that's got 2 tomatoes on it. I don't think that one is doing okay. This one got unhappy before I got the shade up, and it just really never has gotten back to itself. It was a Paul Robeson, so I probably should just pull it. But this one does look better, and this, I can't remember what kind of pepper that is, but that Anaheim is really doing good. That's a poblano. So even though it took a minute, my plants over here were able to, get going in spite of, like me kind of being silly about how I planted them. Like, that's a shishito that I need to get all that off of. My timer's going off to leave for practice. Here's another watermelon, and oh look, the figs are all coming in. The grapes are they're in, but they're just not tasty yet. So we've got some bagged for us and some for the birds. The birds usually get the figs up top. You can't see that watermelon that good. This craziness over here is, I just have little mini jungles everywhere. So this asparagus bed got some strawberries added to it that you can't really see. There's one down there. But it's gotten, since I got good irrigation over here, it's continuously making asparagus. This is a dill that I let go to seed, and there's a lettuce over there, so that I'll just continuously have dill and lettuce coming up in the winter. It got mulched in here really good, so it's really happy. Here's here's kind of the view going this way. And I definitely think having the shade cloth lower, I just didn't want to go crazy with the structure, especially if this stuff didn't jump off. But this watermelon over here, again, it got planted way later than, because it's from the same 6-pack, but it got planted way later than the ones over in the bed. But it still looks really happy, so I'm gonna run with it. This cucumber's been a pain in the butt because it makes way too many flowers and it hardly grows. It's got one cucumber that doesn't look amazing. This one is always growing but never makes flowers. This is something else I'm really proud of, and it's my little baby fig. I got this last year, and it was, about that tall, and I planted it right at the first of the summer, so it didn't do much. So let's go see what's new in the front yard. Now, I told y'all I was getting rid of the straw bale concept in my world. So, if you remember, I had really started further over there, but it was about 4 bales. So this is one of my newest projects. That's why it's not that developed. So I went and deconstructed those 4 bales. And down there, I kind of left a base of it, and then over here, I just spread more down. And then I went in and I added some of my soil. That's what that is right there. And then I mulched back on top of that. So, and I'm loving these Soaker roses right now that I got from Harbor Freight. I think it was like $10. And so this is a lemon verbena, and I got it thinking it was just like a simple herb, but actually in ideal conditions it can be quite a big bush. So that's why it's up here. Now in the middle I'm going to do some flowers that love summer, but then in the next 3 plants are all Rosella hibiscus, because if you remember, they can get 4 or 5 feet tall or taller, still really spread out wide. So there's 1, 2, 3 rosellas. Then over here I've got a moringa. So once this moringa gets established and grows a little bit, then I'm going to move the soaker hose back from that to where it barely gets any water. So right now everything's happy, and if it goes as planned, then I'm gonna have a really cool little wall of stuff. Then finally, I wanted to give you an update on my mulberry tree, which now we've come to understand, kind of in a consensus with my fruit tree and a fruit tree growing group I'm in, that this type of mulberry is actually a bush variety, because we were trying to decide which of these we should cut, and I consulted with a group and they're like, oh, don't, because even with the size leaves these are, this is more of a mulberry bush. So we're gonna kind of still train it aesthetically to be like a tree. So we're gonna trim some of these branches up, and then I'm gonna try and propagate those to put in a place that we do want some bushy stuff going on. So there's my tree, and it's gotten even bigger since we last saw you two. All right, well, I hope that you thought that was totally cool, and that you've got some cool things going on. Please jump down in the comments and tell me if you got started late planting like I did, because I mean, I really didn't get planting until the 1st of April, but we've had glorious weather all the way up here into even June with such really nice mornings, and we're gonna have mornings that stay in the 70s throughout the end of the month. So that's a good time to get work done. That's what I'm doing, is I'm working in the early morning, and I'm working when the sun goes down. So tell me what's going on in your garden, and I hope you have the best day ever.